Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Thai retirement visas, specifically the bank account paradox. I've discussed this at length in other videos. I'll get into more here. That said, I thought of making this video after reading a recent comment on our channel. Quoting directly, here's something for you to get your teeth into, Ben. Things have gone crazy bank account wise in this country. To get a retirement visa here in evil Farang, and look, maybe let's leave out some of the hyperbole. That said, an evil Farang has to deposit X amount monthly, or, well, it's 65,000 baht a month monthly, or have 800,000 in an account for 3 months prior to application for renewal. But a tourist, which we all are prior to retiring, well, that's not true. Let me get into that in a moment. Can no longer open an account, therefore they meet the primary requirements to retire. I think they don't meet the primary requirements. Hello, Thai logic. Meanwhile, someone who does want to retire is finding Vietnam, Cambodia, Philippines very, very welcoming. I've talked about this before. There seems to be like this ongoing Cold War in the travel industry in this region, where I often wonder if commenters and various other folks that are making content that's going up on YouTube like to denigrate Thailand and sort of play up other jurisdictions. Just real quick, first of all, Vietnam has no retirement visa at all. Cambodia, yeah, they have options over there. I've talked about them somewhat in the past. That said, in the aggregate, as I've discussed in other videos, and I may make one here sooner rather than later regarding this again, well, I like Cambodia. I don't have any problem with it. Cambodia's infrastructure, quality of life, many things over there are markedly different than Thailand. Let's just call it what it is. So to compare the two purely on visas and then sort of leave the implication that they're the same jurisdiction or that they're the same qualitatively in terms of what it's going to be like living over there and all of that, it's a bit disingenuous. And I say that because, again, it's not the same thing. It's just not. Now, Cambodia is fun. I like Cambodia. If I had found Cambodia for Thailand, I've often wondered if maybe I'd have been more attached to over there, just in terms of it was free and easy and interesting at the time. That said, I'm pretty sure I probably would have gravitated to Thailand one way or the other. But that said, the comparison, okay, maybe they have a slightly easier visa process depending on your circumstances, but to compare them is not an apples to apples comparison in terms of quality of life for retirement there. I think similar could be said of the Philippines, although to less of an extreme in terms of comparison. And that said, I've talked to a lot of guys over here who've said the Philippines, has its own issues too. I personally have never been to the Philippines. I'm not making this video to throw any of those countries under the bus. I just think it's worth noting that I often wonder if there's perhaps some movement to kind of make Thailand look bad and then sort of play up these other jurisdictions. That said, quoting further, all while Thailand whines about no one coming anymore. Well, nobody's really whining about that. Maybe I am. I've made a video where I talked about, sort of perfect storm in this low season and things. But, again, I think that there's a real overestimation in the minds of many expats, especially retirees, just as to how much of a contribution they make in terms of relative contribution to the rest of GDP. Thailand is not some backward place, okay? I mean, it's an industrialized nation. I think at this point it makes the most automobiles of any place in the world, or does the most automobile manufacturing at different parts of the supply chain. It's sophisticated. And again, that's why comparing it to some of these other economies, most notably places like Cambodia and the Philippines, it's not a one-to-one comparison. Maybe with regard to Vietnam, it's getting to be, and I would say in the urban areas over there, it probably is getting to be more of a one-to-one comparison. But, to compare Thailand to some of these places, that's not really all that honest. And it's worth pointing that out. Quoting further, I wonder why I'd be interested in your insights into this logic. Well, one, I've been talking about this paradox forever. Okay, I've been making videos since October 2016. Okay, I'm coming up on 9 years having made these videos. I think I've made nearly 8,000 of them. In there, I have probably at least a half a dozen, maybe over a dozen videos where I do talk about the banking paradox where you need the bank account to get the visa, you need the visa to get the bank account. The other presumption that is made in this comment is that everybody always came in on a tourist visa, or I think this person means a visa exemption stamp, and everyone always used that to convert into retirement visa. That's never been the case. We've assisted folks in getting retirement visas from abroad for years of various types, O and OA, and we've also assisted folks in converting their status here in country. Again, it always depended on circumstance. The fact of the matter is, banking rules, their own internal rules, by the way, have been driving changes to the immigration system. I'm a big believer in credit where credit is due, and I'll be the first one to criticize immigration policies if and when I see it necessary. But it's worth noting this stuff, especially this 4-month affidavit and all of this talk, all of this is coming from one big bank's own internal policies. And that is driving immigration outcomes, as I've discussed in other videos. That said, yes, I think it's evident and it's apparent to me that we're also maybe seeing efforts that have been utilized in other jurisdictions, I'll put it that way, to use non-official institutions to implement policy in such a way that the outcomes get what a particular group or a particular paradigm would like to see. So the outcome being, I think that there is a concerted attempt unduly, and I would call it undue influence, undue foreign influence, to undermine Thailand. One of the ways they want to do this is by undermining the experience of retired expats here in Thailand. And one way that they can do that without being overt about it is by going through this banking channel rather than by going through policy-making channels within immigration where there's more accountability. So the thing to understand and take away from this video is, yeah, this paradox has always existed. You know, we assist people all the time in getting their ducks in a row in such a way that they don't have to deal with this paradox. Now, this shifts from moment to moment, and circumstances shift, and the circumstances in which one is processing their visa will dictate the legal analysis regarding the best way to proceed to get both a retirement visa as well as a bank account here in the Kingdom of Thailand.